Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's session on mental health and immigration in the AAPI community. This event is being presented in partnership by the UC Davis Health Asian Pacific American System-Wide Alliance, the Campus Community Book Project, and the UC Davis Health Office for Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion. My name is Megan Macklin, and I serve as a program manager in the Office of Campus Community Relations, a unit in the UC Davis Office of the Vice Chancellor for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, where I manage the book project. Thanks so much for joining us this afternoon. To begin our time together, a few housekeeping items for our virtual event. Today's event features live captioning from Otter Live Notes. To access the transcript, click on the red live icon on the top left of your Zoom screen. You also can access the live stream by navigating to the link that we'll put into chat. Today's event is being recorded, and the recording will be made available on the book project website. We encourage you to turn on your video if you choose to do so. It's great, especially for our presenter, to see faces. During today's presentation, our speaker will take questions, and you are invited to ask questions or share comments in the chat at any point during the event. Let me talk a little bit about our event sponsors. The UC Davis Health Asian Pacific American System-Wide Alliance is an employee resource group whose mission is to promote the general welfare and interests of the Asian Pacific American staff, faculty, and students at UC Davis. APASA and its members serve as leaders and official representatives of the Asian Pacific American community at UC Davis, strengthen professional and social relationships between the Asian Pacific American staff, faculty, and students and the university. They encourage recruitment, hiring, retention of, and promote career and personal development opportunities for Asian Pacific American staff and faculty, and promote, pursue, and implement diversity at the UC Davis campus. For more information or to sign up for the APASA mailing list, please send an email to the address that we'll put into chat. The UC Davis Campus Community Book Project promotes dialogue and builds community by encouraging diverse members of the campus and surrounding communities to read the same book and attend related events. The book project, a signature initiative out of the Office of Campus Community Relations since 2002, advances the mission to improve both the campus climate and community relations, to foster diversity, and to promote equity and inclusiveness. Currently in its 19th year, the book project in 2020-2021 focuses on the theme of mental health and features graphic memoir, Marbles, Mania, Depression, Michelangelo and Me by Ellen Forney. Our theme and selection have been supported by a year-long program of events. You can find on our website up-to-date event information, registration links, and other resources. You also can find information on our website about a series that we've planned for May 2021 in recognition of Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. This series, in partnership with the Office for Health Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion and the UC Davis Health Asian Pacific American System-Wide Alliance, focuses on resilience, mental health, and well-being for the AAPI community. Finally, we welcome your involvement. That includes student, staff, faculty, and community members in selecting the book project featured title and in planning our annual program of events. If you're interested in getting involved with the book project, please send us an email or refer to the book project website for more information. And now it is my pleasure to introduce today's speaker, JR Kuo. JR, thanks so much for joining us, and please take it away.
Awesome. Thank you, Megan. And welcome all. Yeah, thank you so much for being here, and welcome to this webinar that we are going to talk about this intersection between mental health, Asian American identities, a little bit, and immigration. Immigration is and has always been a huge topic within this country. So I'm going to show, just give me 1 second, and I just want to share my slide really fast. So, again, I want to start off with thank you, UC Davis Health's Asian Pacific American System-Wide Alliance, the Campus Community Book Project, and the Office for Health Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion for inviting me. So I just really appreciate for all your support and collaborations. And specifically, I want to thank Maricel, Megan, Sunny, three of you for hosting, organizing, helping out, and making this webinar happen. So thank you so much. So here's just a little bit about me. So my name is JR Kuo. I'm a professional speaker specializing in mental health and diversity and inclusion training. So I was born in Taiwan. I moved to the States when I was 9 years old. So I grew up pretty much between the Bay Area and Los Angeles. And when I was a long time ago, I went to college at the University of Colorado at Boulder. From there, I was fortunate. I got a job in Hawaii. I worked there for a couple of years. Then I came back to Denver, Colorado, and got my master's. And from there, I started working for this amazing, great organization called NAPIMA. NAPIMA's mission is to advocate mental health wellness for Asian Americans, Pacific Islanders, and Native Hawaiians. So that was about 12 years ago that I started working for them. And that's when I started my own personal mental health recovery and healing journey. So both professionally and personally, I'm on this amazing journey of this healing process. So, and from there, a couple of years ago, 3-4 years ago, I started my own company called CoffeeWithJR. So it is a small company. We provide cultural competence, mental health, and diversity inclusion training. So, and I just feel very privileged and honored and lucky that in the past 12 years of working, with different diverse communities that I have spoken and trained college students at over 50 different universities now, and then dozens of corporations, small businesses, and nonprofits, including a couple of Fortune 100 companies. So this is a little about me, So organizations and companies often hesitate to include and incorporate immigration issues as part of their DEI training. So I just feel very privileged, honored, and thankful for this opportunity. And I want to applaud, for the leadership, for all of you, first for being here. I know this is your lunch break, taking your lunch break and being here with us. So thank you so much. And as an immigrant myself that has battled the whole immigration system for 27 years and unfortunately won. I was documented to undocumented to documented to limbo to more documented to now. So, I have spoken at different immigration rallies. I have met with different congressional members and staffer in their offices at the National Capitol buildings. Many times, I have attended immigration meetings in the White House and the headquarters of Homeland Security. And then I've given different workshops about immigration. So this is kind of like, issues and topics around immigration, are very, very dear, personal to me. And of course, also issues around immigration can be kind of foreign to you all, especially if you are native born. This is because you never have to deal with immigration. Like, let me give you one example. For example, I have a couple native born white friends, for years that they couldn't fathom about my immigration struggles. Some of them thought that I just had, bad luck, or I was making things up, and guess what? Some of them are married with immigrants now. And they all came back to me and shared with me how shocked they are about our immigration system, how complicated, how difficult the process is, even for the spouse of US citizens. So today, what we're going to do is we're going to watch this little short documentary film about my immigration story. And then we're going to have Q&A. Please feel free to ask any questions. And then if there are enough time, I can go through some intersection about immigration and racism, and then maybe, talk about how we can be advocates, how can we be an ally? So coffee talking out of mental coffin. So, and it's a very short, it's only 5 minutes short documentary film, and, recounts the moment that I received my green card after 27 years of struggling with the immigration system in the United States and how the immigration system impacted my mental health and my family. Let me just give a little example is that due to my immigration that I did not see my folks, my parents for 20 years. And in 2017, when my mom's ovarian cancer came back, when she passed away, I couldn't even see her for one last time in person. I have not give my mom a hug for over 20 years. And I couldn't even say goodbye to her. So yeah, so that is, and I just imagine the mental health struggle that I had to go through. So hopefully, so the film will kind of capture this whole thing. And before I show you the film, I just want to acknowledge, give special thanks to the crew that made this film happen. So it's directed by Q. She's a dear friend of mine right now. And Rachel Ray Odette, she take care of all the cinematography behind the scene, and Brian Vu, all this sound. So, and this, this screening, I want you all to kind of like, to think about this screening of this film is about reflection. Because due to stigma around mental health and immigration, two huge topics. At the same time, there are huge stigma behind these two topics and issues that we Asian Americans don't talk about our inner struggles. And at the same time, we don't really share our amazing cultural heritage because there's this pressure that we have to be Americanized, we have to be white. We are kind of ashamed of our immigrant pasts. So that's what I'm hoping that to use this film as a medium of reflection for having a discussion about this intersection between mental health, the impact of immigration within our communities, and how it connects with our cultural identities and experiences. Asian American experiences in the United States is so closely connected to our immigrant pasts. In fact, 2/3 of us are either immigrants ourselves or have close relatives or friends that are immigrants. By addressing and understanding our humble and great cultural significant immigrant pasts, not only that we can learn from them, we can continue to grow and thrive as a community in this country, which will better equip us to battle this whole anti-Asian racism and to break down these walls of mental health. So, all right, here I'm going to just stop talking and start showing the film. So here we go. Thank you for watching. Thank you. So I'm just going to open up to you all. See if you all have any questions for me. So there's a question, how was it living in the US without legal status? It is very, very scary. So, and I want to clarify myself a little bit, is that I came into, so I think the study shown that I forgot the number, I just kind of black out right now, like not black out, just a blank. I think majority of undocumented people in this country, especially from Asia, we came in documented. We came in with visa. So this is a huge, again, bias misunderstanding that people think that when people think that undocumented, quote unquote, illegal, they came in, they jumped the border. And all that, yes, that they are. There's a lot of us that came in legally. And due to the schools that we went to, different circumstances, people overstayed their visa. That's one. Well, second is that, for example, what happened to me was the middle school and high school that I went to, they didn't know what to do with my visa, student visa. So they did not renew it. So I was all my paperwork was expired for a couple of years. And that's pretty scary. That's pretty scary. So throughout my whole career, I was like, documented, undocumented, because there were gaps, and I was fortunately like able to get some more documentation, and I had to wait. And there was a time that like literally I had no paperwork at all due to some application process and all that. And it was extremely scary because I couldn't work, couldn't really get health insurance, couldn't drive, and like yeah. And then that was a time that when Arizona just passed that law that state police or local police can arrest, pretty much a form of social profiling, can arrest what they suspect of undocumented, i.e. brown people, people of color. In Colorado was thinking about passing similar law. So it was scary because first of all, like, I have nothing. And just knowing that like there might be people coming after me. And I think for me, the biggest burden was that uncertainty of my future. Am I going to be here, or am I going to get deported back to a country that I don't even really know? So thank you for the question. So I see another question. Was it difficult to find therapists who's knowledgeable on immigration issues? Yes, it was very, very hard. So I was fortunate that I was able to go to college, and again, due to mental health stigma. So I started experiencing pretty severe depression when I was in college and throughout my 20s. And my first 3 years in college, I did not, again, due to this mental health stigma within our community, again, this falsehood that I'm a man, I'm an Asian man, I'm a strong, like I don't seek help, we don't seek help, we don't talk about emotion, that I didn't seek any professional help. Toward the end, my senior year, fortunately, just through different encouragement, mentorship, that I went to the counseling center. Oh, another huge information I learned is that like part of my tuition pay for these therapists' salary, and I get 6 free sessions. We Asians, well, I don't know about you, but I love free stuff, especially so they've been paid for. So I'm like, I'm just screw it, I'm going to see. So don't get me wrong, my therapist back then, she was amazing. And it took literally first, so just imagine 6 free sessions. And remember, it took first 3 sessions for her to just really understand what's up. We haven't even talked about mental health diagnosis, any of that, just for 3 sessions, as just devoted. So yeah, so it was very, very challenging. And later on, through networking, Grapevine, I was able to find Dr. Lisa Strober, amazing therapist. She wasn't that familiar with immigration issue. At the same time, she has worked with very diverse population before. So for her, it was kind of easy connection. And yet it took a couple of sessions for her to, actually it took her a couple of years to really wrap around this whole immigration. And at the same time, and this is part of the healing process for mental health. Yes, immigration did, or has, and did cause a lot of my immigration, well, they caused a lot of my mental health struggles. At the same time, we didn't just get stuck on immigration mental health, because there's so many other aspects to mental health, to healing, that we were able to focus on, and I was able to heal. So thank you for that question. So let's see. Yeah, are there any other questions? And I see in the chat box that there's similarity with the Muslim ban. Yes. Yes. And I think that this Muslim phobia has been around for decades, and it's just very, I think, very unfortunate. And, due to mental health stigma, due to racism, due to Islamophobia, all that. And yes, and there are undocumented immigrants that are really scared of getting the vaccine. So again, we're talking about, so there's a couple levels right here, right? There's the public health level, there's immigration, there's a law, there's this, and then now we're talking about, we are having a public health crisis, a pandemic for over a year now. And immigration population, both documented and undocumented, are very, they are very vulnerable population. They're afraid, again, being tracked, they are afraid about their privacy. They might, again, they might get arrested, which, we know that under the previous administration, ICE was very, very aggressive of hunting these immigrants down. So cool. Yeah. And if there's no other question, what I like to do is, because one of the biggest thing that people, when it comes to immigration, that people want to know and learn is about, what can you do? What can we do to support immigrants? And so I am going to show you the tools that I have put together, that I think that how we can support each other, whether you yourself is an immigrant, or you are not immigrant, that you just want to provide support to others. So what I'm going to do is going to start sharing slide with you. All right, give me 1 second. So these are the 6 supporting tools. So when I see another question that just came in, do you have any to say about long wait time for Chinese Indian for employment base? So yeah, so thank you for that question. So for the employment-based immigration. So one thing I want to let you all know that, so the last major immigration bill that was passed was 25 years ago under Bush. Yes, Obama administration did not pass, well, yeah, the Congress did not pass an immigration bill for a long, long time. And this is how our immigration system works, is that Congress passes the law, and the administration, the White House, execute the law. However, as we all heard the phrase before, the executive action or order. So White House can have certain wiggle room to enact certain action. Same thing with immigration. So certain immigration, they can quote unquote set priority to enforce certain immigration laws or not. So those are called policies. So as we all know that under the previous administration, they have like they make immigration process even harder and stricter. And I don't know, so to answer your question, I don't know, I haven't heard much from what the current administration, what Biden has done so far. So I know that due to the pandemic, or even before the pandemic, the previous administration pretty much shut down or turned off all the what we call H-1B, the employment-based visa. Well, they have cut down the quota. And another thing that what they have been doing with the previous administration is that they make it, based on my conversation with my immigration lawyer, the last conversation we had, that was about 2 years ago, it's about they are making the application process even harder and more headache. Let me give you one example. Let me give you one example why immigration system in our country is so annoying, why it takes so long. So, for example, I apply for H-1B, right? I submit, I'm a good applicants, I submit, and I'm just using H-1B, the highly skilled employment visa, as an example, and can be applied to other forms of visa, including marriage visa too. So let's say that normally H-1B is due on April 1st. I'm a good applicant. I submit it. The moment April 1st hits, I submit. I click that button, got in on time, right? So based on their internal policy, they have quote unquote, they kind of call it a quota. And I call it a little bit more like discrimination. So they will review which country gets priority. And this is a fact that countries from Southeast Asia, for example, country from Middle East, from Africa, our application get, how do you say, what's the word? I just lost the word. Get, they put more emphasis on reviewing our application versus folks from Europe. So for example, I submitted my April 1st. All my documentation expires June 1st. All my documentation, everything. So guess what? They intentionally review my paperwork, my application, and if they found, well, when they, in the previous administration, Obama, they're a little bit more like, okay, if they found a typo, or if this question, if they found like an answer that wasn't really, like, how do you say, it wasn't that big a deal. Or under Obama administration, they would kind of just let it go. However, under Obama administration, they are still pretty strict on the financial part of the application, on my employment history, like all the biggies. With the little stuff, they would just kind of let it go. With the previous administration is that they would literally pick out everything that's wrong. Little things, trivial thing. And what happened is whenever they found a mistake in a mistake in the application, by law, they had to send you a paper letter to, for example, to my immigration attorney, for them to find that mistake, to put it on a paper, mail it to my immigration lawyer. That process itself could take anywhere from 2 weeks to a month. My immigration lawyer receive it, me and him try to figure out, and of course we try the fastest to figure out, to type out the answer. That would take 1 more week. So let's just say that conservatively 3 weeks gone. We send the paper back to immigration. It takes 1 week to send it back. It probably will take them 2 to 3 weeks to review the paperwork, and probably take another week to inform us if they're satisfied or not. So just for one trivial mistake, my application could, well, actually it did happen, got postponed for 2 months, for 2 months. So application due on April 1st, all my paperwork expired June 1st. By end of June, the application is still pending. And this is just one trivial mistake that we, or typo, whatever. Just imagine if you get 3 or 4 of these in your application get postponed for months, 6 months to a year. So this is why our system is kind of screwed up. That's why it takes so long. So by end of, using myself as an example, by end of June, I got nothing. I was technically undocumented. All I had was a case number. That's it. That's it. Like driver's license expired, everything's expired, nothing. And what the hell am I gonna do? So back to that question is that the long wait time, yeah, it's very, very unfortunate. And especially right now that this whole tension between us and China, and then, that this whole, it's definitely, it's definitely making things harder. And currently, I've been keeping track what Biden's administration has been doing. It hasn't, they're just, from what I've researched and read, there's just not much updates yet. So, and I hope that, so yes, I like that description, hopefully can help the people out there that are native born, that American, that to kind of understand why there's so much headaches. And on top of that, we have to pay for lawyers' fee, application fees. All these cost money. All these cost a lot of money. So yes, political issues and conflict affect individual lives. Yep, exactly. And I can tell you that there is definitely, my immigration lawyer would not admit it. In fact, my immigration lawyer, I have a friend, she's an immigration attorney too, and no one in immigration will ever admit it, but there is definitely this heavy bias, racial bias within their system, how they are reviewing applications, So, all right. Any other questions? All right. If not, then I'm going to share with you all these 6 tools that I recommend to support immigrants. And I will go through these 6 tools really fast. And they are scenarios, meaning that we can practice on how to apply these 6 tools. So, all right. The first one is self-reflect. Is practice what I call catch it, check it, and change it. So when you encounter an immigrant person, I encourage you all to reflect on your own bias, your own prejudice, reflect on your own experience and privilege and advantages and disadvantages. Reflect on your own discomfort. Some of you might grew up with a lot of immigrants. So for you, it's totally cool. Some of you might not. Some of you might not know that many other immigrants. So for you, again, maybe due to the media, due to your childhood upbringing, that you might have these biases and prejudice that you're not even aware of. So examine your, what I call also your white guilt, and this is specifically for white folks out there. And also what I like to say is remember to breathe. Remember to breathe. Because why with all these self-reflections? Because by understanding our own strengths and weaknesses, we can have a better clarity on how to provide support and assistance. And this is mental health 101. Mental health 101. So the second part is educate yourself, meaning that I like to call choose your poison. Which which population of immigrants that you care, that you're curious about, that you want to learn more. For example, like I advocate and talk a lot about immigration. At the same time, I primarily focus on the documented and DACA, the dreamers, and mental health related issues, because I'm passionate about these issues. At the same time, immigration is a huge topic, like family separation at the border. It's so important. This mentally, emotionally, I just cannot even go there because I would get re-traumatized, because again, I was separated from my parents when I was young. So just for you to understand your own boundary and then choose quote unquote your poison, which population, and learn more about that population of immigrants. Political climate change overnight. So invest a bit of time to keep track with the latest issues. So when you assess an immigrant, at least when you encounter an immigrant, at least have basic idea what they are thinking, what's bothering them, what they're worrying about. And next one is, I say, listen. Listen, prepare to truly listen without judgment and interruption. Immigrants are strong and proud people. At the same time, we can be very vulnerable. So I highly encourage you all, listen without judgment, listen without interruption. Just even though you might not quite understand, maybe just listen. And then hopefully just through those listening, encountering, that you might learn something. And of course, what I call don't assume and don't give unsolicited advice. And because no one likes unsolicited advice. And I encourage you all, just ask, how can I help? How can I help? And I think this question, how can I help, is one of the most powerful questions ever. So, and next one is empathy. Empathy, not sympathy. Again, immigrants, we are resilient people. We are strong people. At the same time, due to racism and anti-immigration, there's this shame, there's this baggage come with being an immigrant. So that's what we don't need your sympathy. And we can use your empathy and support. We want to be treated like equal with respect and acknowledgement. We want to know, sometimes that a lot of immigrants might not open up to you or might not tell you exactly what's going on behind the scene. Because again, there's this fear, there's this insecurity. So that's why we want to know, we need to know if you care first. So if you practice empathy and listen, then we will open up to you and we will trust you. Next is what I call resource and support. Practical resources, like referring them to, if I already see Rebecca posting in the chat box, like organizations with departments, people that assist immigrants, let immigrants know. If you know a good lawyer or good immigration lawyer that are willing to provide some pro bono work, please refer them. A private foundation that supports young undocumented kids who go to college. So let them know, again, immigrants are proud people. They want to work. We want to make impact. We want to contribute. So don't let all these xenophobia, all these political rhetoric tell you that immigrants are lazy. No, they are not. They are not lazy. Immigrants pay taxes. Both undocumented and documented immigrants pay taxes to Social Security, which is something that we might not never ever benefit from. So we are actually paying into a system that Americans are going to be benefited from. So, all right, last one is what I call advocacy. Speak up and act. Immigration is a federal policy. So we highly recommend call your local US representative, senator, and tell them that you want humane immigration reform. Again, I know that all the immigrant advocates I know, none of us want open borders. No, again, this is another lie that was put by anti-immigrants. No, we want a humane immigration policy and laws. So, the reason that there are so many anti-immigrants rhetorics out there, and those politicians, people can get over from all these anti-immigrant hates, because majority of voters, specifically white voters, don't care, don't voice their concern about immigration. So I highly, highly recommend you all to be a little bit more involved at the federal level. And the last one that I want to say is positive reinforcement. meaning that interrupt xenophobia, immigration hate, and take action when immigrants are not present. Speak up. When someone's making one of these against stereotypes, prejudice against immigrants, say something about it. It's what I call positive reinforcement. So we speak up about immigration in a positive light, by sharing stories with data. So, all right, so we are going to practice a little bit. I'm going to show you a scenario. And so before that, I want to share with inaction to action, meaning that a lot of time we don't know what to do. I have to admit that a lot of time I don't know what to do. So first, observe your thoughts and actions and reflect on your thoughts and actions, asking yourself a few questions. Where did I learn to think and talk like this? Why am I thinking or acting this way? What are the potential impacts of my language and action on myself and others? And from here, decide who you want to be, which tool that you want to use from one of the 6 tools. So here is a scenario. I'm going to put out the chat. Is that your good friend Lang came to the US with student visa at age 8. Lang has struggled with immigration her whole life. Lang is about to graduate college and is very concerned about her immigrant status. How can you provide support? So if you can please put your answer in the chat box, that would be awesome. So options are educate yourself, support by providing Lang with some resources, and third one, just listen. And if you put something else, please put your answer in the chat box so we can learn about your other actions, support tools. All right, I'm going to keep it up for 5 more seconds before I close this poll. All right, thank you all for sharing. Thank you. This is great. This is amazing. Most of you say listen to Lang without interruption. This is amazing. So again, and then this is the combination of between mental health and supporting immigrants. Studies after studies have shown that when it comes to mental stress, burden, depression, anxiety, one of the best tools for people to overcome these mental health challenges is to verbalize it. And unfortunately, in our country, like most, including myself, I'm guilty of it, that we are not good listeners. Studies have shown that we interrupt each other between 15 to 20 seconds the moment they speak. And oftentimes, just imagine when someone starts opening up to you about their struggle, about depression or immigration, and you cut them off, you interrupt them, boom, the trust is done. They are going to shut down. They are not going to share with you. So that's why listen without interruption is so important. Let them talk. Let them finish talking. And some of you say, yeah, support Lang by asking her, what resources she needs. So again, thank you so much for sharing. So here's another poll, another scenario. Is that recently you learned that Lang was harassed by another student. Lang was told, go back to where you're from, you Chinese virus. How can you provide support? First is direct support. Check in on Lang to see how she's doing. Ask, how can I help? Advocacy 1, meaning that report the incident to the university administration and ask them to make a public statement that xenophobia, hate, and harassment are not tolerated here. Number 3, resource. Offer Lang to accompany her when she needs to go out in the public. and you answer for something else, please put your answer in the chat box. All right, I'm going to close the poll in 5 seconds. So if you haven't cast your vote, please cast your vote. All right, thank you so much. This is awesome, beautiful. Most of you say check in on Lang, ask her, how can I help? Again, back to that, don't assume. You know, yes, Lang just went through some hate experience. You know, it's horrible. Anyone like this at the same time, don't assume that you know exactly what she's feeling. You know, Lang might be like, huh, no big deal. And she goes off, you know, to her day. But Lang might be traumatized. You don't know. So ask, how can I help? How can I help? So this is great. So another thing that I would emphasize is that, again, that there's no right way or the best way to intervene, to support. However, whatever method, tool that you chose, for example, just now, that is your best way. Think of this is your best tool. So thank you all again so much for casting your votes. So again, here are the 6 supporting tools. You know, I highly recommend you all, you know, incorporate this into your life. And again, and I just want to end this by saying that there's technically this is end of my official presentation. Is that I just want to say that I really appreciate you all for being here. You know, talking about, you know, want to learn about immigration, especially the intersection between anti-Asian racism, immigration, and mental health. So I applaud you. And I just also want to say that, you know, one webinar is not going to save the world. So I encourage you all to continue to educate yourself, learn more about mental health, learn more about our immigration system, talk to your local representative, let's talk to your family, your friends, keep the conversation going, because by only doing this, when we keep talking about these topics and issues, this is the best way for us to overcome mental health stigma, to break down the walls of mental health, and to really fight anti-immigrant hate and anti-Asian racism hate. So again, thank you all for being here. And here's my contact information was up, so please feel free to reach out if you have any questions.
Thank you so much, JR. Really appreciate you coming back to UC Davis virtually to share your wisdom and expertise. And I think I speak for all of us when we say we especially appreciate your generosity and vulnerability in sharing your story with us, and really giving us an opportunity to think about how we can learn from your experiences to be better allies and advocates. So as folks are leaving, I'm hoping to share some information with you all about some upcoming events that may be of interest. So the first is going to be this Saturday, May 15th. All are invited to join the National Unity Against Hate Rally, which is going to have locations nationwide and also in Sacramento and Davis. For more information, you can refer to the links that we're going to put into chat. And then the second event that I want to share information with you all on is on Wednesday, May 26th at noon, the Campus Community Book Project, UC Davis Health Asian Pacific American System-Wide Alliance, and the Office for Health Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion. We will be hosting our final session in our AAPI Heritage Month series. That will be a panel discussion on health and well-being of Filipinx American nurses during COVID-19, implications for implementing support. That event is in partnership with the Bolosum Center for Filipino Studies. You can find more information and registration information in the link that we're going to be putting into chat. Again, thank you everyone for attending. Thank you, JR, for your presentation, and we hope to see everyone at a future program. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.